Welcome back to my channel. This is a different day than when I usually post videos. So earlier this week, I was able to give a presentation on time management for creative entrepreneurs, and I'm one of those. So it was a really great opportunity to speak to the Tuesdays Together group in Tampa Bay. This is part of the Rising Tide Society. It's a really great community of creative entrepreneurs, and the whole premise of it is that a rising tide lifts all boats. So instead of constantly competing with each other, we're working together to share our skills and our knowledge, because then everybody wins. So I really want to give a big thank you and shout out to the Tuesdays Together group for hosting me, for Corinne, who leads the group, for inviting me to speak, for Tina, who hosted us at her photography studio, EMyth Studio in Riverview, Florida. Thank you so much. And for Gina, who is the CEO and Chief Babe at Babe Crafted, which is an amazing membership group for women entrepreneurs. Doesn't matter what you're making or building, doesn't matter where you are. Actually, she now has a global membership site that's going to be launching pretty soon. So check out Babe Crafted. Thank you, Gina, for recording everything. And just as a heads up with the video, so this is a larger presentation. I was not mic'd. If the audio is a little hard to hear, sorry about that. There were some questions that were asked that I left in as the Q&A in the end. So some of those questions were easy to hear, I left those in, but if it was a question that was really hard to hear, and then there's some discussion and kind of voices over each other, I ended up cutting some just because it was hard to hear, but there was some really great conversation that came from this presentation. So if you have any questions or best practices on tools that you use for time management, or strategies that you use, or habits, or automations, please put those in the comments below, because that can just help continue this conversation. So I hope that you enjoyed this presentation on time management for creative entrepreneurs. And if you find this helpful, please give it a thumbs up.
Hello, I'm MK. I'm really excited to be here this month because we're going to be talking all about time management. And specifically, when Corinne first reached out, she talked about how to use technology to make more time. And she did this because she knows that I have a book coming out next month that's a sci-fi thriller all about time travel and the multiverse. And she was like, can you tell everybody how to build a time machine? Because you do all this research for your book. And I said, of course I can. So I hope you guys are super ready to listen.
Management. Not machine. I think we got that in the
What'd you do? So you don't want to learn about quantum physics?
Not creatives.
Okay, well, instead we're going to learn about 3 big techniques that we can use to manage our time better. And so the key 3 things here are habits, systems, and then automations. And the reason why I'm breaking it down in this structure is that if you don't have good habits and good systems in place, your automations aren't going to fix anything. They're just going to actually take more time for you to manage. So we're going to talk about these 3 different ways that we can all manage our time better. So when it comes to habits, so when I say a positive habit, for me as a writer, I write every day. That's my habit. The system that I use is every time I write, I make sure to back it up in 2 places, because I've lost a hard drive several times. It stinks. So my system is I always back it up twice. The automation, okay, we'll get to that later. All right, so I actually want us to start out with some self-reflection time. So there's 3 questions I want you to each ruminate on for a couple minutes. So the first one is, what is the one thing every week or every month that you know you want to be doing for your business, but you just do not have the time to do? Every month it comes and goes and you think, I didn't get to do this thing anymore. I know I'm supposed to be doing SEO. I'm supposed to be doing Pinterest. I'm supposed to be doing these other things. I just don't have the time for it. The next thing I want you to think on is, what's the thing that you do over and over again and you just think, there has to be a better way, because I hate doing this and I have to do it all the time. I know you will have one of those. All right, and the third one is, what's one thing that you don't have the time for outside of your business? Because time management isn't just about making your business better and making it work for you better. It's also about making sure that you as the person are showing up for your business, ready to work. And that means that you have to have that personal time too. So I'll give you guys some time to think. I'm gonna call on you too, so think of a good answer. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, Tina, what is one thing?
Shouldn't make eye contact with you.
What is one thing that you wish you always had time for your business, but you just never have time for? Social media. Okay. Who else feels like they need to be better with the social media for their business? Okay. Yeah. What do you have, Pat?
Sending out emails.
Yeah.
Not horrible at that.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. who else has one for the first one?
Redoing my website.
Okay, there you go. Alright, so what is one task that you guys have that you do all the time that you just want to find a better way to do it? It's like, you know what task it is.
Social media.
Social media, okay. You feel like you're reinventing the wheel every single time you do it? Yeah. Okay, and now this one, I hope you all have fun for this, but what is one thing that you want to be able to do outside of your business?
Work out.
Work out, okay.
Travel.
Travel, okay.
Sleep.
Okay, that's a requirement, yeah. Okay, so the reason why I asked about that third one is, has anybody read the EMyth? Okay, so it's this really great business book. It's from the 80s. When I read it, it was super dated. But the one thing that the author talks about is that, are you creating a business or are you creating a job for yourself? Because a business will work for you when you aren't working. You will have systems in place. But a job is just another job. You have to show up every day. You have to be the one to push the work forward. Otherwise, the business stops without you. And so as a business owner, you need to make sure you have a business and not a job. Or else that third one never happens.
What's the book called?
The EMyth. He has like 50 versions, like the EMyth for accountants, the EMyth for lawyers. Like, he went crazy with it.
Well, I mean, he made a business.
He sure did, yeah. He literally just changed the title, changed it, yep. Okay. Alright, so what I want to talk to you guys about before we get into actual systems and technologies to use is a framework for how you spend your time on your business. So there are two factors that I consider whenever I'm doing anything for my business. And that is, what is the value it's going to provide for my business? Maybe it's a direct ROI, maybe it's something that I know is long lead, but it has to provide value to my business, and I have to know how much effort it's going to take. So right now, I'm in the middle of recording my own audiobook for one of my books. It is very high effort, but I know that it's also going to have a very high impact for my business being able to have that. So whenever I look at anything, this is what I look at, and there's 4 options that you really have. So high value, high effort. So me writing books, recording audiobooks, key to my business, has to get done. I could outsource some of it, but I really can't automate that creativity. That is the piece of my business, and it makes sense to spend the highest effort there. All right, then on the way other scale, we have low value, low effort. So these are things that are good for the business, but they really shouldn't take that much time. So for me, I know I should be doing SEO for my website. Right? Like, I should be getting a good SEO juice, high up in the rankings whenever somebody's looking for a good book to read, or for me to book more clients, people are looking for independent publishers, self-publishers. Okay, I don't have time to write all these articles because I need to write my books, right? So what I did is every week I put out YouTube videos. So I found a fun little technology, which I'm gonna get to later, where my YouTube video goes straight to my website and posts it as a blog post. So now, low effort, SEO, check, done. All right, so something that is low value and high effort for me in my business is getting on more podcasts, because podcasts sell books, right? So every single time I hear about a new podcast, all right, well, I could research them, look at their list, do they have somebody similar that's on? That would take a lot of effort every single time I hear about somebody. But instead, I put a system in place where I hear about the podcast, I send it to myself in Asana. The first Friday of every month, I look at that list, I get a pitch together, and I send it out. So now something that was very high effort has become moderate effort for questionable value. But I know it's something I need to be doing in marketing my business. Okay. The next one is high value, low effort. So this is something that you should always be doing because it's low effort, right? So for me, I, as a publisher, need to sign more clients for them to be able to publish their books. So very impactful for my business is getting them on the phone and talking to them and having that initial conversation. The part that kills me is every time you try to schedule a phone call, okay, I'm available this day and this day from this range and this range. Okay, that works for me. Oh wait, I'm on another time zone. Okay, let's look at this week. Oh, and then the time zone changes again, so now it's this. And it's back and forth and it drives me nuts. So, I signed up with Calendly. It's already synced to my Google Calendar. I just say, you pick a time, honey. It automatically comes to me. So now something that is very high value to me, which is getting prospective clients on the phone, becomes very low effort. So these are just a few examples that I've listed, and I'm sure as I've been talking, you've all been thinking of these things. So I want you each to think of an example of something that you do that is high value, high effort, low value, low effort, low value, high effort, high value, low effort for your business.
For me, it will definitely be the YouTube
I haven't started yet, and I'm just putting it on one because I feel like it's high effort because I don't really know how to get started. You know, I'm making slow strides towards getting started, and I definitely know that it has a high value because of the blog posts, because of getting my name out there, people thrive, seeing my personality, wanting to connect with me that way. So we'll be talking about this.
Yes, absolutely. And so one of the habits I would say that can help with these high effort items is what's called batching. And so what you do is you block off part of your calendar and you just batch and create a dozen videos or maybe 4 videos. And then immediately after that, okay, the next day I would say, okay, this is my editing batch and I'm just gonna edit all those videos and then I'm done. So I've spent 1 week really focusing on hair and makeup and scripting and filming and editing, and then for the next so many weeks, I don't have to think about it again. And so that's one way that you can build that positive habit where you're like, okay, I know this is my week to focus on YouTube, and then next week, okay, I'm gonna be focused more on social media, because you can also batch that as well. Yes.
My high value, low effort one is actually updating my website. I feel like I have met a point where my website looks great, feels great. I just have to add more pictures as more cakes come out. So
Okay.
as long as I made it myself, so I don't have to like talk to anyone that like has to update it for me. I can just do it myself. It's pretty easy.
Awesome. Cool. High value, low
Oh,
effort.
and I guess another one would be I post my pictures on Instagram and I send it directly to Facebook. So
Yep.
it's zero.
Oh, yeah.
effort.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a
just
huge
the
help.
automatic link
Yeah.
between those 2 systems. Yeah.
I think my high value, high effort would be similar to what Emily said, is focusing on my website, logo, branding, stuff like that, social media. High value because that's what gets you clientele, and high effort because I'm not good at it, I'm just starting out, so I have to put all my efforts into all of them. Not just one, not just the website, but the website, logo, all of them.
Yeah.
It gets easier once you get it done.
Yeah. We love effort. Yeah. And so that's where having like the habits and the systems in place will eventually, for these like low effort, easy to do things, once those are off your plate, then you can spend more of your time on the things that take more brain power, more researching, hiring somebody, like getting things off your plate. Because when you are constantly focused on like the low value things that like are easy to replicate, well then that's time you could have been spending on the rebranding. So that's why it's good to identify what each of these are. Because if you're just thinking about this is my big ticket item I need to get done, but you're not focusing on how you can optimize the other ones, then the big ticket item is never going to get done. So like with me putting on like the Zap for my YouTube to go to my website, like that's done. I don't have to think about it. And for a while I was actually manually doing that. So that was more time those mornings that I wasn't spending optimizing other things for YouTube or doing anything else for my business. So once you identify what these items are, then it makes it easier to go ahead and make room. What do you have, Corinne?
It's similar to yours as enrollment calls. So I need to get my Calendly back up.
Yeah.
I have not been doing my Calendly,
Yeah.
so you reminded me of that.
Yeah. So, does everybody know what Calendly is? Okay, so it's a software where you can have a direct link where people can book time with you. You can set it to be 15 minutes, 30 minutes, hour, whatever you want, and you can actually sync it to your Google Calendar. So if you have blocked off time because you're going to a birthday party or this event or you have another appointment, it automatically updates for you. So if you have a prospective client and you send them the link, it's up to date. You can set parameters that they can only book within 24 hours or like after 24 hours, they can't book same day, which is awesome. And they have other parameters too where you can like block it to say only 9 to 5 or only after hours. Yeah.
I was going to say about Calendly, you can also have different calendar setups. You have one for discovery called the 30 minutes, another one that's like, oh, this is a 60-minute session. You can also set it up to take payment. So it's just like boom, boom, boom. So let's say, for example, if you wanted to book a session, you could have them choose the calendar date, and then they make a payment, and then the confirmation page is like a link to type form to fill out your questionnaire. So that cuts out like all those emails out of your inbox.
Yeah.
Does this cost anything? You can set it up to do some of these extra features, and there is like a monthly fee, or there is a free option, so you can still have it set up.
I have the free option. It's really good.
Yeah. I've been getting by with just the free option. But yeah. A lot of the technologies I'll mention, I always have like a free option and then there's like an upgrade. So I try to get the max I can out of the free option and then upgrade because I'm not sure people. Alright, does anybody else have any other examples that they want to share?
I'll say for high value, low effort, I have a Pinterest account now. And so anytime I blog,
software that does it.
You are, okay.
Okay, unpause.
Yeah,
Got you
that's
covered.
right.
Got you covered.
Yeah. Okay, so it's like less effort and more awareness of their
Yeah.
Yeah. So effectively, so even if you weren't able to think of something for all of these categories tonight, I definitely want you to come away with an idea of over the next week or month as you're doing something for your business, start to ask yourself the questions like, what's the value, what's the effort? Because you'll start to notice some things that you're like, okay, this is low value, low effort, why am I doing this? So then maybe you can focus on the high value items, or if it's something you're doing over and over that you feel like is low value or low effort, then maybe you can start to figure out what's a habit or system or automation you can put in place. Okay. Now I'm gonna talk about automations. Okay. So first of all is I would suggest whenever you're looking at automating, don't automate something that you haven't done manually before. So if you're gonna automate something, it's gonna go through all these systems and inevitably something will go wrong. It's technology, right? Like things break, there are glitches. So you wanna know all the places that it can go wrong before you do that. You wanna have gone through the system to understand, is this something truly I can set and for the most part forget? Because if you walk away from it and it breaks and you don't understand where the breakdown is because you haven't done it yourself, that's going to be a recipe for disaster. You're going to spend more time cleaning it up and then you're going to never use an automation again and that's going to take more time. It's just bad. Make sure you know it before you automate it. Second thing is don't automate things that should be authentic. So I am big on Twitter because I just love to be there because of all the GIFs and the memes. And I ended up following somebody who had a really funny post and I saw several of my other friends follow them, so I followed them and automatically I got back, thanks for following at 1MK Williams, and I was like, oh, that's so nice. And then I went to their feed and literally their entire feed was like, thanks for following all these different people because they automated it. And so what seemed like, oh, that's really nice that like they're paying attention and they're on it and like, okay, that's where they're on Twitter all the time, they just automated it. So I was like, what value is that adding to you to automate that? Like, because it showed, like anybody can see that this is just automated, it's not authentic. So I would say anything that you're doing, if you are doing a follow-up with a client that's supposed to be personalized, if you are reaching back out to somebody to see like, hey, like we worked together a while ago, do we want to work together again? Like, don't automate things to the point where it seems cheesy automation, and don't get crazy. So when I first started automating things, I was like, I want to automate everything. I spent a lot of time thinking about how I could automate everything, and that was time away from my business. So like I mentioned before, you want a business, not a job, but don't make automating things your job, where you're constantly having to check it. So put some systems in place, put some automations in place that make sense for you right now, and maybe you can think of a few that might make sense down the road as other things come on, but don't automate things to the point where you feel like you're just an automator and you're not a photographer or a planner or something like that. Okay, so we're gonna talk about technology now for real, not quantum mechanics. So most technologies that you use day to day have some kind of automation feature built in. So if you're posting on social media, on Facebook, you can actually schedule that for your business page. Forget to mention where you can automatically go from Instagram to Facebook. They're owned by the same company. That's super easy to do. If you have, for email marketing, if you're using MailChimp or ConvertKit, you can automate those emails. You can have an entire nurture series and you can make separate series and things like that. Most of them have some kind of built-in automation functionality there. The same thing goes with like your invoicing and accounting software. So you can build a, it's an estimate. You can build an estimate and then you can automatically convert it to an invoice once the client says, okay, go. So there's a lot of technologies that are already out there that exist in this easy one-step automations. And there's that here. And whew, it's a fun one. So I took my own advice and I didn't go crazy. And I have a limited number of zaps that go each week. So as I mentioned, when I post to my YouTube, it goes to my website. So that's my SEO, that's my blogging that I do once a week, minimum, it goes up. It also goes straight to my Twitter because Twitter needs to be refreshed like all the time because there's a million things going on. So I know every Wednesday morning whenever I post that video, it goes to Twitter. Wednesdays are pretty much good after that. And because I do, people can order signed books from me, I was constantly checking the Google form. And it was like sucking all my time. And I was like, oh, sacrifice. So now it emails me and that person after they make the order, so I know, okay, I can go in and now send them the invoice. There is an upgraded version on Zapier where I could have upgraded to get it straight to PayPal, but again, I'm going to take the free version. kind of things. So that is on my plan to eventually automate that over. But these are like 3 critical things where now I'm not constantly checking my phone or my websites. I'm not constantly making sure, did I post it here, did I post it here? It already happens. So within Zapier, you can go from any platform you can imagine, you can talk to another one. So you can go from Instagram to Facebook, Facebook to Instagram, to Twitter, to Pinterest, from WordPress to Pinterest. You can, what is your dream? You can probably do it. Upgrade, you can definitely do it. So they have some really great functionality within there. You obviously have to give them access to everything, but this is a huge automation technology that I really found very helpful. I actually had a colleague I was talking to who built out an online course, and when I talked to him, he's like, oh yeah, I just zapped it out. So once somebody signs up and they get an invite to the exclusive Facebook group, and then they get this, and then they get this, and then they get this, he's like, I have 26 zaps going, and I was like, that seems excessive. But again, he did all the things manually first, and he was like, I can get all of this, and now I'm done. So that was a big help for him as he was building that online course. So you don't have to be tiny like me. You can get crazy like somebody else. Okay. So now that we've talked about from the business side of things, I want to make sure we're also thinking about this high value, high effort for the personal side. Because again, this is a business. It needs to be able to run without you, so you can do the things that you want to do. So what's high value to you, the person, not you, the business owner? Is it spending time with your kids? Time with your partner? Traveling? What is the thing that's the highest value to you that is going to take the highest amount of effort? Because as you start to automate things and set these positive habits, then you have room to say, I'm going to take a vacation for a week. And I'm going to set it out of office, and that's going to be it because it's automated. I don't have to think about it. I have my systems in place. I don't have to worry about it for a week until I come back. Or, hey, like something's going on with my kids, they have an event going on, like I want to be there. I don't want to have to be thinking about something else. I've automated it, I have a system in place. So the same thing applies. So I think it's important to also have these in mind as you're doing something. Because when I ever have like a proposal come up, or oh, do you want to do this, do you want to try this? My default is, I'd rather be writing my book, or I'd rather spend time with my husband. So unless it's big enough to overcome those 2 things, my answer is no. So I don't know if you guys have heard the phrase, if it isn't a hell yes, it's a no. It has to be a hell yes to overcome those other 2. And so that's a habit I have in place where my default is now no. I don't like being the person who says no, but like I have to protect my time because my time is incredibly valuable to me because what I can do for my business and just who I am as a person. I mean, the reason why we want to run our own businesses is so we can break out of the corporate grind and have a say in things, and we don't want to feel like we are suddenly now beholden to this job that we made instead of the business. So think about those things too. And that counts for the low value things in your personal life. If there's stuff you're being asked to do and you're like, this is low value, nope. Low value, low effort, okay, somebody else can do it. So my husband and I came home from a trip not too long ago, and I have always been very proud of like, we go grocery shopping, I find the best deals, I find the best fruit that has no like bruises. Yes. I got this on the regular, and there's no bruises on it, and I get like the best deals. And so we got home from this trip, and I felt really overwhelmed because it had been 2 weeks away, and I was like, I just need to dive in. He was like, oh, we have money off to do Instacart, and I was like, because that was a low value item for me. I don't need to be there at the grocery store to make sure we get the best cucumber. There are.
Have you heard of Shipt?
Yeah.
Ships.
I love it.
Shipt,
I use
Instacart.
Shipt all the time now.
Yeah.
I'm like, groceries, just bring them to me.
Yeah. So if that's something that's low value to you, but it's going to take up a lot of your time, outsource it. And that took me a while to actually say that because I am super thrifty and I don't like to spend extra on things, but I will spend extra on my time all day, every day, because my time is the most valuable thing to me. It's the one thing you do not get back. If you mess up with a client on a call and they end up not booking with you, there'll be another client. If you buy some products and they get destroyed, okay, you can make that money back, you can buy those products again. Nothing will buy you back the time that you wasted. Nothing, it's gone, doesn't come back. So that's why it's really important to make sure that you're spending that little bit of time invested and figuring out what those systems are gonna be for you, so that way you get that time back. And that's how you break your time. Oh, awesome, yes, okay. So I was trying to end on this really aspirational note, and I was like, okay, I wanna make sure we all have a vision, right? So the reason why I've automated things is because I know where I want my business to be in the next year. I want to have so many books out, I want to make sure X amount of revenue is coming in, I want to have this many clients. I have a vision. And so whenever I'm doing something, a if I'm automating it or if I'm putting in the hard work for it, it better align with that vision. So if you don't have a vision, then you're just automating for the sake of automating, or you're just building a habit to say, I have habits, but are they helping my vision? I don't know. So I was like, this is actually perfect. Because some days you're like, I'm just the corgi, like, you know, I'm just trying to build this business, and I'm just this corgi. But other days you're like, I'm Batman, and I can see the vision, so be Batman. You can be the corgi too, because corgis are super cute. But be Batman, you know, have the vision, so you understand, hey, I'm putting in this habit where every Friday night, before I am done with my business for the week, I am having a check-in with myself to say, what did I do this week that was good for my business? What did I not do this week that I need to do, and what am I gonna do next week that's better? Or is your habit writing every day? Is your habit contacting a new potential client every day? What is the habit that gets you towards the vision? Same thing with your systems, same thing with your automations. They all have to feed towards that, otherwise you're just setting up things in Zapier all day long for the heck of it. So yeah. Okay, and here are some of the technologies that I mentioned where you can automate things. I love Asana. It's a project management tool, but I make templates, and oh my gosh, it makes life so much easier. So whenever I have a new client sign on, I already know everything that I need to do for their book, and I just click on it over. I don't have to rethink it. Hootsuite is really great for social media. Within Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, we can do certain things, but this ties it all together. ConvertKit, ActiveCampaign, and MailChimp are all for email. There's other more powerful ones, but I feel like these are the big three that a lot of people use. And then Zapier, which is Zap. Okay, final questions.
Is there a technology that will quality check to see if like your zapping is going accurately?
So Zap gives you the option to test it, and it will actually send you a digest of what went out, and if anything is going wrong, it will alert you right away. Because I initially had an issue where I was setting it up for my Zaps to go from YouTube to WordPress and then to Twitter, and then it started breaking between like the second one, and I was like, I'm just gonna do YouTube to WordPress and YouTube to Twitter. I don't need to have it.
The middleman type.
You can.
I know you could zap from Google Forms. That's pretty cool.
Mhm.
Can you zap from Google Forms to Square? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna find that out.
But yeah, like there are so many systems in there. Some of them I never even heard of. I was like, what is this? Like I just went through after I knew I was doing this just to find, and there's like a bunch. So I would suggest going to Zapier, and when you log in, it starts showing you like suggested zaps. Like it's like, oh, here's what other people are using, and you're like, oh. So yeah.
It's funny, I've seen Zapier, but I've only seen it through another web page. I didn't realize they had their own website. Like,
Yeah.
I've only seen like,
Yeah.
from other sites. So it's cool.
So I think it's clean and easy to use. The first time I used it was a little clunky, and then if you notice, I got lazy. It's just copy it. I took this and I copied it, and then I didn't change it. It's like WordPress, but it's a street. I just forgot to rename it because hashtag lazy.
How much time have you saved using Zapier?
Quite a bit. So my process for YouTube is every Wednesday morning I'm posting, and it was taking me an extra 30 minutes to make sure everything got copied over from the description into WordPress, linked, published, and then making sure I remembered to go into Twitter. So I ended up putting this automation in place when I still had a full-time job, and usually I would be halfway to work and I'd be like, so now it's just as automated. So now my business is my full-time business, so I wouldn't have more time to do it, but I'm glad it's already set. Like I don't want to think about it. So
I use Latergram for Instagram posts.
Is that like scheduling Instagram?
Yeah,
Okay.
scheduling. So that's really helpful. I just
Do you batch it like MK was saying? Like you batch create your content and then
Well, I'll sit down like once a week and schedule a post for the week or maybe for 2 weeks, but that still just takes up so much time. So I don't, how do you like plan posts like that in advance?
So I actually sit down, I try to do it like once every 6 weeks. So I kind of have like a big task that's like every 6 weeks. So if I have good photos, I'll just put those on Facebook. And then now I'm putting them on Instagram. I just started using Hootsuite a couple months ago, but now I just at the same time, I'm like, okay, I want something similar to go out, but not exactly the same because I want people to feel like they're getting value from each channel. So like I'm looking at each day, I'm like, crap, I scheduled on Wednesday, move it from Wednesday because that's when YouTube comes out. So I end up trying to do just like the bulk marketing because I know what's coming up. So like, oh, it's a great time to buy a book before you go on a plane for Thanksgiving. So make sure you get that. Or, oh, books are great gifts for the person you're like, it's hard to buy for. Oh, it's your New Year's resolution to read more. So like I'll just put all of those out. And and then I don't have to think about it, and then all of a sudden I'll be like, oh, people are post. Oh yeah, I'm posting that today. So I do just try to like batch and blast as much as I can, because then it's like, okay, I'm using that part of my brain, I'm getting it done in one day, and then I'll think about it again.
Thank you.
So the project management one that you mentioned, do you use that to actually like plan out, like almost like a Gantt chart where you plan out your
So I like Asana better than Trello for that, because Trello I feel like is good for. So the podcast I want uses Trello, so I have to use it sometimes. But I like Asana because I can do like little tasks. Like I just have one for like admin stuff where I'm like, oh, pay your quarterly taxes, and I just like set it on the dates, and then I don't remember it until the week and I'm like, but then I can use it for like templates. So I can look at a calendar view, I can look at just the list view, and then within a task I can have subtasks, which I really like, where I feel like with Trello that is like a convoluted extra step, where Asana makes it much easier. And then I can like, if I'm on Facebook and I see something where I'm like, okay, look at that later, I can just send it straight to my Asana and assign it to myself for tomorrow to look at when I have time. So.
Yeah, I have well, I'm looking at ClickUp right now. Again, the free version. And it's very similar to that, where it does have the different views and subtasks and templates and stuff like that. I'm still just trying to get a feel for it, because there's some, like, I want to be able to create a template that I know is like from start to finish, it's this amount of time. So if I set, start date here, I want it to end here. So I'm still trying to like play around with how that works, because there's all kinds of different options and categories you can set up. So I'm like, I'm trying to figure that out.
So I ended up using a lot of different project management softwares from like my previous day job and now in this, and I find a lot of them are like very similar. There's very few differences. It's just how do you like to visually see things laid out. So I like Asana. I'm used to it now. Like I think if I had to switch, I would eventually figure it out, but I have everything just in there. And then I appreciate my clients with like a different timeline. Like some people need way more help actually writing their manuscripts, and people come and they're like, I'm done, what do I do? I'm like, okay, well, all the manuscript development tasks are done. So.
What is the benefit of having the task, like, versus using just like a Google Calendar?
I find for me, like, I look at my tasks the first thing every morning. Like, instead of going into my inbox first, I go into my Asana first, because I want to understand, like, what are the big things I need to do today? What are the little things I need to do today? And then I can look to tomorrow to be like, is there something I can just get done? I can get out super quick within the first 10 minutes of the day. I try to do that. And then I focus on my big task thing, and then I go back to my little tasks. I also use Boosted. So that's an app I didn't mention on here. So I literally, okay, so it's this pretty little bee, and it's Boosted. And I have all of my ongoing projects. So with that, I can actually like set my time. So when I want to understand how long it's taking me to do something, so like for recording my audiobook, it shows me the entire time that I have been recording it. So I understand per finished recorded hour how much time it's taken. Downstairs, I have to remember to click the start button and then stop and then switch over. But I do find that it's really helpful for keeping me honest as far as like, all right, am I just sitting here after eating lunch just like on the internet, or am I getting back to work? So I do like having that, and then it shows me pretty different colors. So I do like that for keeping track of how much time something's taking me.
And I think the only other thing that I would just, reiterate to everyone in the group is like to not be afraid to say no. Like MK was like, it's so important to protect your time. And it is. It's super, super important. So if it's not something that's going to bring value to your life or to your business, sorry, no.
Don't even say sorry, just say
Yeah, just
say
no.
no.
Is a complete sentence.
Yeah.
Complete sentence.
Ask a 2-year-old.
I can attest to that.
Way to say no that I really love is I'm fully committed right now.
Yeah,
It's
that's
short
great.
to the point, and people understand that if you're tapped out, you're tapped out. That's okay.
Yeah. It's easy to get, because a lot of times we start our businesses and leave a corporate job to get out of a grind, but it's super easy to get yourself back into one and get burnt out like really fast, because now you're excited about the work you're doing. So it's like, oh, I can do all these things with my business, but then you forget why you started your business in the first place, and that's probably to have more flexibility. So protect your time.
For me, I'm trying to really get in the habit of creating a habit. So like a morning ritual, whether it's getting up, praying, reading the Bible, listening to some self-motivation, YouTube videos, reading, like
establishing a habit, because they say you need to do something for 30 days or 60 days to set that positive habit. It's actually really old school technology that Benjamin Franklin is famous for. He has a list, and then he has all the days of the month, and he just checks it off. Or he used to. That's what I have. So I have a list of, I think it goes up to 10. I try not to fill it, but it's like, am I stopping in the middle of the day to take a walk? Am I sending a kind message to somebody? Am I calling my mom? And so at the end of the week or the end of the day, I can see how many boxes are filled in, and if I need to just like quickly do that. Yeah. So there's much prettier ones online than the ones that
What am I Googling for this?
So Benjamin Franklin Habit Tracker, and you'll see a bunch of images will come up. It's pretty much just a simple grid, and you just put in the tasks. I actually buried my purse. That's like several tasks, and then it's just 1 through 31. So every single day of the month I can look at it, because I've noticed sometimes I'm really good at like following through on a habit during the weekdays when I have routine, but then on the weekends I'm not as good at it. So like I make sure I work out every day. Okay, that's easy to do, but like calling my mom every day, like I have like that trigger of like, okay, like I finished lesson for the day, call my mom. But if it's the weekend, I'm just sitting on the couch hanging out, I'm like, oh, I forgot to call her. I guess I'll check on my mom. So yeah.
So.
Yeah. Or like you don't have to be available all the time. Like I've had clients who are like, oh, can I call you tomorrow at 11? And I'm like, nope, that's during my peak productivity. I don't say this, but like I know for me, like my peak productivity is before lunch. So I don't want to have any phone calls or meetings, because guess what they do? So I will only want to have meetings after 2 p.m. Like, so for me, like if somebody called, I'd be like, I won't call you back at 2 p.m. Like I just won't even answer the phone. I'm like, oh, I was busy, I was in another meeting with myself. I don't say that, but like I will call back later when I know I am in the mindset to like have this conversation.
So I like that meme that's like, if you ever hear me talking to myself, don't worry, we're having a team meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep commitments and promises to yourself.
Yeah.
Don't just give away your time like it's for free.
It's not.
Hey, thank you so much for sticking around to watch the video. I hope that you really enjoyed it. And if this was the first time you're finding any of my videos, please stick around and check out my channel. So if you're somebody who's interested in writing a book or publishing it, that is the main topic that I talk about here on my channel. I put out new videos every Wednesday, so you can check those out. Just hit subscribe and ring the bell and you'll get alerted. And if you think, I don't know if I ever want to write a book, but I want to know more about how to be a creative entrepreneur and manage my time, manage my business, I have several things on that as well, so be sure to check those out. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hopefully I'll be seeing you next week.